Now, spirituality is not a welfare program. This true spirituality is not about God coming in and rescuing the soul. I mean, if this is what the religions tell us, that we just have to appeal to God and we can go back to heaven. Now, if this was the case, we would never come down here anyway. Why would God send us down here just for us to, for it to come down and rescue us? That doesn't even make sense. No, we're not down here to be rescued by God. We're down here to find out who and what we are. We're down here to have self-realization, because within our very own soul is the God state. We're never going to be merging with God, the oversoul, which we call Anami Parush in MasterPath terminology. Anami means nameless and Parush means power. It's a nameless power. And God is self-contained, and it's very happy and content with its own vibrations. And it has given its gift to the soul and said, okay, soul, I don't want you to be dependent on me in the wrong way. I want you to recognize where you came from, where your energy comes from, where your love and truth comes from. But my gift to you, little one, this is God talking, is that I want you to have a piece of what I have. And I want you to experience your own dominion and supremacy and sovereignty over all that exists. God says, I am the ruler and the superior being of all the macrocosm, but this is so beautiful that I wish to give this to you as the soul. And so I'm going to give you a piece of my mirror that in time will reflect my beautiful essence and pristine vibrations. And I want you to have what I have. Of course, step down, but in very much the same way. This is the beauty of God. It wants for us what it has. Now that's really big of God. Conventional religions really don't express it this way. They express it that God is great and the soul needs to accept God, get back to heaven, and then get down on its knees and worship Him the rest of eternity, or sing songs, or this type of play with the angels, or something like this. And this means that God created soul so it could worship itself. God doesn't need our worship. It's not that limited. This God is not a personality God. Whenever you hear someone saying that God wants our worship, they've reduced God to a personality, like it's actually a person, and that God wants our worship and adoration. No, that is completely incorrect, loved ones. God is much bigger than this. So God wants soul to have everything that it has, but instead of soul being the master of the macrocosm like the supreme deity is, God has given us the microcosm. Now for those of you that are new, and I always have to talk to the new people and the old people alike, but just a moment's digression. We got the microcosm, don't let the word throw you, micro, and then we got macro. Okay? Now, here is the beauty of God's creation. The microcosm contains everything that the macrocosm does. We're not trying to be the ruler of the macro, we're trying to be the ruler and master of our own microcosm. Now, every individual, every human being, every entity has within them the same as this macrocosm. Here's all these vast, vast regions, and this is worth your contemplation. Here's this vast, vast creation called the macrocosm. We, as an individual, have this same system. All of the worlds within our human body. And this is why the saints say that the body is the temple of God. It contains all that is. It's the microcosm of the macrocosm. Now, if you really don't understand this, you're going to be bad-mouthing your microcosm, which problems do. You see, the kill wants you to think that you have a real problem here with this. And it wants you to try and go find God in the macrocosm and therefore alleviate or somehow sidestep the solving of these problems and spiritual conditions. And so it's very important to understand that within your microcosm, you have all that the macrocosm exists. Every point here in the body, these chakras in the body, all the chakras within the astral body and the causal and the mental body are, if I could put these two charts together, it's like the chakra here in the physical body relates directly to this. When you are in your astral body, there's thousands of subdivisions on the astral plane, just thousands of them. But whenever you, as an individual, are in your astral consciousness, whether it's feelings, whether it's devotion, whether it's emotion, whether it's just some passion of the mind in the lower astral, or even if it's, like I mentioned yesterday, through some drug trip, you've broken out of the physical consciousness, you're now in the astral. When you're in your astral body, you are on the astral plane in the macrocosm, because there's a wire that connects one to each plane. And so as we travel just our own microcosm, the Lord has said you travel the macrocosm simultaneously. And this is how you come to master the macrocosm, by mastering your microcosm. Now, this just sounds like words in the sense, but the real important point here is that we do not want to be running to God for our answers, because God doesn't live down here. God's not in His creation. God stands completely removed from even the macrocosm, let alone the microcosm. And so Kale wants to fool us on this. So here's an individual that has all answers and solutions within the contents of his microcosm, being totally duped that he has nothing, and I better pray to God or the Master or the sound current or whatever, Brahm or Jatnaranjan, to help solve my problems. Well, can you see the person was tricked before he even started? You have to deal with the issues at hand, and God has nothing to do with your problems. Those are your problems. Those are something you created. And the Lord's going to let us rectify and solve these problems in a microcosmic way, and this is how we gain our spirituality. So my whole point is this: don't be asking someone else to solve your problems. You've got to really understand that you have all the capacity and potentiality to solve every condition that comes your way. And the first point here is that you should know that the answer is contained within yourself. That you do not need to run to me, Gary the man, that you do not need to pray to God. You only need to contact the forces within your own microcosm to solve a problem. Now we've got a chance of solving it because we're going to the right source, ourself. Now we created all problems. We created all of our problems. Here's the thing: the soul came down into the world problemless. As it descended up here from the higher regions in devolution now, this is when it came down from the Satdesh worlds initially. It had no problems. And that's why here in Banwar Gufa we have this term called Adi Karma. This was the original karma that was given the soul just to put some blemishes on it, making it unfit to stay in these worlds, and therefore it had to come down. So that's really kind of an interesting point there, that we're actually given impurities so this whole process can commence. As the soul comes down, loved ones, it spends a lot of time in this region. It comes down to Daswan and picks up its soul body. It got its soul up here. But here it picks up its soul body. And then it comes down here and spends eons here in its devolution, in its descent downward now. And it picks up its mind. Now we're starting to get a couple problems here. As it drops down here in the causal realm, it picks up its causal body, and it actually starts creating in here. And then it has to set up a point even lower yet, Then it's given an astral body, and eventually it gets down here, okay? Well, by the time it gets down here, it has a whole series of situations that need to be rectified. Then all this is put a blanket, or it's covered in a box, it's shut down, it doesn't play into your life anymore, because now we're down into the physical. Now the physical takes over. And like I said yesterday, we start with the mineral and the plant, and now this is the soul. And then it gets into the reptile and gets into the animal, and finally the human being, and it's all the time creating more and more and more problems. Now, then finally it runs into the master, and when it gets an initiation, this is when evolution begins. Okay, now my point is this. This was the individual coming down here that created all of these problems. And this is important, loved ones. If you it's like your kid messes up their room. They were undisciplined, they displayed slovenliness and tamas, and their whole bedroom is a total mess. Clothes all over the place. The clothes mama just ironed are now heaped up in the corner, and dirty socks, and the bed's unmade, and all this stuff. And now, here comes mom and dad and says, Junior, your room is like a garbage dump. I tell you what we're going to do. We're going to clean it up for you. See, is that how it works? No, that's not how it works. But that's how many people look at God. Oh, God, I've got some problems. And I'm beseeching you and begging you, will you please take them away? That's like the little child say, Mom and Dad, clean up my room for me. And they say, Junior, you've got a brick missing. You get in your room and clean it up because you messed it up. And you don't come yelling and praying to us until that room is clean. And then maybe we'll talk to you a little bit. See, and it's that principle, and it's an important principle because Junior is out on a charity program, and he thinks that spirituality or life is a welfare program where it's all going to be given to him, done for him, and he's just down here to receive. And the parents have to knock him on the head a couple times and say, oh, no, man, you're in a real beehive here, Junior, and the whole point here is you're going to clean up your room. You're going to learn to keep it clean. You're going to learn once you use something to put it back where it belongs and cover your own tracks. Junior was the one that messed up the room. Junior is the one that is to clean up the room. Junior doesn't know that he has all the potentiality to solve this huge problem of a dirty room. He really doesn't realize that, and that's what we have to teach them. Well, this is what I have to teach you, loved ones, that you have the power and the potential to solve your own problems. So if you run to God without running to the Master or soul, you're going the wrong direction, and the problems will only be exacerbated. Please understand, loved ones, there's no such thing as a problem. There are only spiritual experiences. This is the keynote to the lecture. These are all spiritual experiences, and it's your own mind, you see, and being concerned about the lower self that has called this spiritual experience a problem. The soul calls the same experience a revelation from God. Does that make sense? Don't buy problems. They're only points of view. And you can alter this at any time. All that's important is that your attention be on the Master and not your problem. When your attention's on the Master, then you can have attitudes of love and forgiveness, contentment. When it's on your problem, then you're locked into the body, and the Kel has tricked you. And you'd never know your trick, because you'd say, I'm just trying to get rid of my problem, Gary. What's so bad about that? Well, from a Manumuk point of view, nothing. But from a Guru Muk point of view, everything. Because your attention is on the problem, and all problems come from Kalnarinjan and a misperception of truth. Okay, that's enough on that.